April is looking to be yet another very big month for the PlayStation 4. We've got one of the biggest exclusives of the year, new IPs, and a lot of other interesting games from a wide variety of genre. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 upcoming PlayStation 4 games for April 2018. Now, we're not ranking these games in any way, we're just going over the games that you should be looking forward to. With that being said, let's get right into this. Let's just start off with the heavy hitters. Of course, we have to mention God of War. God of War is arguably the most anticipated PlayStation 4 game of the year. Without a doubt, it's among the top 3, and for good reason. God of War has been one of the staple franchises to the PlayStation going back to the PlayStation 2 days, but even still, with the series being beloved, you could tell with the release of God of War Ascension it was getting a little bit stale, so that's why it's so exciting that Sony Santa Monica Studio is doing a little bit of a soft reboot. Instead of your typical Greek mythology setting, of course, this new God of War title will be set in the world of Norse mythology. It does seem to have a little bit more of a mature tone, slower paced gameplay, and of course with the introduction of Kratos' son, that's gonna add another layer to the gameplay. God of War has always been very consistent in quality, and this game has the potential to be the best of them all. Hopefully it delivers when it releases on April 20th.
Power of this weapon, any weapon, comes from here, but only when tempered by this. By discipline. The self-control of the one who wields it.
Open the door! We need your help!
This is no ordinary illness. The boy's true nature, your true nature, fights within him.
So I'm a man now.
From one exclusive to another, we have Yakuza 6: The Song of Life. Yakuza has been one of those franchises that really hasn't gained traction over here in the States, but that is starting to change, and 2017 was a big year for Yakuza with the release of Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami. And now we have the latest game in the Yakuza franchise in Yakuza 6: The Song of Life. This is actually the last entry in the main line of Yakuza games, so that's something to note. And once again, you can expect a very mature story with a wide variety of gameplay. The Yakuza games have a lot of content to them, and best of all, that content is very diverse and engaging, and I expect no different with Yakuza 6: The Song of Life. The game has been released in Japan and it got very good reviews. I wouldn't see why it wouldn't be the same over here. There is a demo for the game available, so if you want a little bit of a taste, you should definitely download that. As far as the full release, Yakuza 6: The Song of Life is coming April 17th. Extinction. Extinction is one of the highly anticipated new IPs being developed by Iron Galaxy Studios. It's set in a very unique world where a world has been war, and for a long time humans have fought one another for land and riches. However, their true enemies have now shown themselves 150 tall monsters. Think something like gigantic colossi from Shadow of the Colossus or Titans from Attack on Titan. The developers are adamant that the game is its own entity, and you can't fault them for that. This game looks to have a lot of depth to it with a deep campaign, dynamic side missions, skill-based combat, an interactive environment, and so much more. Extinction is coming to the PlayStation 4 on April 10th.
And there will be a reckoning.
Next up, Sinner's Sacrifice for Redemption. Sinner's Sacrifice for Redemption is one game that you would think would be way more anticipated than it is, but lo and behold, it hasn't gained much hype. So what is it? The game is a boss battle or action RPG, and it has you fight 8 bosses, the first 7 each based on one of the deadly sins. And before each battle, you must sacrifice a stat and level down to enter combat. Each fight will be tougher than the last as you wage war against sin itself. Has kind of a Dark Souls feel to it. The premise sounds a little bit like Shadow of the Colossus. Visually, it looks pretty good. It is being done by an unknown studio, but hopefully this can be one of the surprise hits of 2018. We'll find out as Sinner's Sacrifice for Redemption releases on April 25th.
Protector of the realm, just and true, and beloved by all, now rusts in a prison of his wounded pride. A great healer, renowned for wisdom and kindness, consumed by greed for knowledge and corrupted by the darker arts. A leader of the realm, respected and admired, but driven mad with desire for that which he would not give. All fallen, all pushed.
Far Cry 3 Classic Edition. Far Cry has been one of Ubisoft's most consistent franchises, and we're actually weeks away from the release of Far Cry 5, and if you pick up the Far Cry 5 Season Pass, that'll also grant you access to Far Cry 3 Classic Edition, which is coming next month. Far Cry 3 Classic Edition is a port of Far Cry 3 to the PlayStation 4, and if you played Far Cry 3, you know how great that game was. Far Cry 3 really took Far Cry to the next level, and it was a fantastic game with a great open world, a lot of content, solid visuals at the time, and a fantastic antagonist. Again, you will just get the game if you pick up the Far Cry 5 Season Pass. It will be available standalone as well. Going to be interesting to see what Ubisoft prices the game at. I think anything more than $20 would be a little much, but we shall see. Far Cry 3 Classic Edition is hitting the PlayStation 4 on April 27th. We Happy Few. We Happy Few has been one of the long-anticipated indie titles, and this is more of a big budget game. It's going to release at a high price, and it's an indie survival and exploration game set in the fictional English city of Wellington Wells. It's a dystopian, retro-futuristic fashion drug-fueled society formed following an alternate timeline of events within World War II, and it is on the verge of collapse. The game itself is played from a first-person perspective, and it combines role-playing, survival, and roguelike elements. You'll have freedom to explore the open world and various districts that make up Wellington Wells. The game seems to have a lot of depth to it. It's got a very interesting premise and presentation, so this could be another very surprising game on the PlayStation 4. It has been in early access for a while on other platforms, but it's seeing its official release on April 13th.
Your fellow citizens. Talk to them. What the fuck are you doing here? Visit them. Wellies love a friendly guest. We Wellies do love our games. It's important to stay young at heart, so use our playgrounds. After all, if we don't, who on earth will? Obey police officers. They're there to protect you. Remember, they're the only ones who are supposed to be out at night. Wellington Wells is always a delightful...
The Swords of Ditto. The Swords of Ditto is a very charming action RPG that aims to create a unique adventure for each new hero of legend in the relentless fight against the evil Mormo. You explore a delightful but dangerous overworld, brave menacing dragons, and improve your hero in a charming village during your quest to overcome the evil that plagues the island. It's got a solo and cooperative mode, so if you want to play through the game with a friend, you have that option as well, and overall, this isn't going to be one of the heavy hitters for the year, but a charming little title. Maybe not a game you pick up right away, but if it's a PlayStation Plus title or you find it at a discount, it could be a pretty good pickup. It releases officially on April 24th. Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion. Adventure Time is seeing a video game adaptation, and it's actually an open world exploration game starring characters of the show, and it's in development by Climax Studios. Visually, it looks to be very reminiscent of Adventure Time, and that's on point. It gives me a little bit of a vibe of what South Park: The Stick of Truth was able to do for South Park. Of course, Adventure Time is an entirely different entity, but you get the idea. The game is touting an original Adventure Time story set sail across the high seas between kingdoms and venture into uncharted territories to figure out what's going on, tactical combat, and hero progression. Adventure Time: The Pirates of the Enchiridion releases on April 24th. Metal Max Xeno. Metal Max Xeno is a JRPG that's actually a part of a long-running franchise in the Metal Max series. However, this is the first title on PlayStation. As far as art style and presentation goes, it has a lot of vibes from a lot of other Japanese RPGs, but it looks pretty good. It has an interesting premise with all of the weaponry. Yes, it doesn't look as big budget as, say, a typical PlayStation 4 game, and considering the market for JRPGs has been very competitive, we've seen titles like Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, we're getting Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, so as far as top-of-the-line JRPGs, this might not be one that really holds up with the best of them. However, for those of you that are ardent JRPG fans, this is one to look out for. Metal Max Xeno releases on April 19th. And finally, we have Bombslinger. Bombslinger is a Wild West-inspired action game with bombs, of course. The game is already available as an early access title on PC, and it's been received relatively well. You play as a former ruthless bandit turned rancher as he sets out on a journey to avenge the brutal murdering of his wife. Bomb your way through hordes of enemies, defeat your former posse, and get to the final showdown with its leader, the Gunslinger. The game touts explosive Bomberman-inspired single and multiplayer gameplay, procedurally generated levels, and tons of items make each playthrough unique. 4-player battle mode and AI bots for classic local multiplayer action as well. Bombslinger looks to be a pretty interesting game, and as I mentioned with the Sword of Ditto, maybe this isn't a game you pick up right away at launch, but if it's a PlayStation Plus title or if it's discounted in the future, it might be a fun smaller title to check out. Bombslinger is hitting the PlayStation 4 on April 11th. So that wraps up the top 10 PlayStation 4 games coming in April 2018. What do you think? Which games are you excited for the most in April? I'm sure most of you are very excited for titles such as God of War, maybe Yakuza 6. Extinction is getting quite a bit of attention as well, but there's a lot of other titles like Sinner's Sacrifice for Redemption and Metal Max Xeno that round out a very interesting month. We'll see how the games turn out next month. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.